week's episode of Haunt Gurus. I'm your host Bethany, and today we're going to be talking about the lesser known haunted places in Los Angeles. The first one we're going to talk about is Bela Lugosi's apartment, which is at 5620 Harold Way in Los Angeles, California. For those of you that don't know, Bela Lugosi was the actor that played Dracula in the 1931 Universal Studios version of Dracula. He died in his apartment in 1956, and they say that it's still haunted by his ghost. When he was still alive, he would make daily walks actually. He would walk to his favorite cigar shop on Hollywood Boulevard, which was at 6423 Hollywood Boulevard. During his funeral procession, they say that the driver almost lost control of their vehicle when they were passing the cigar shop that he would frequent every day. A lot of people say that was his last farewell to Hollywood and just life in general, because that was his daily routine and he was passing it, so he wanted to, take the car over there and go pick up some cigars. The next one we're going to talk about is the Beverly Hills Bermuda Triangle, which is at the intersection of North Linden Drive and North Whittier Drive. It's said to be a cursed intersection in just the housing area in general. There have been some weird occurrences that have happened over the years. The first example is in 1946, a plane flown by Howard Hughes, who was a 1920s film director and business tycoon. He slammed into houses at 808 North Whittier Drive. And then in 1947, Bugsy Siegel, who was a mobster, was murdered at 801 North Linden Drive. And in 1966, Jane Barry was almost killed. And in 2010, Hollywood publicist Ronnie Chasen was shot in the car at the corner of Sunset and Whittier Drive. So there's been a lot of weird occurrences that are hard to explain why they all just happen in that particular area of Beverly Hills. So if you want to check it out, drive by and see if you can pick up any energy signals or anything. I'm sure there's some weird magnetic field that just causes negative energy to just cause weird occurrences. Alright, we're going to talk about Boris Karloff's Rose Garden, which is at 2320 Beaumont Drive in Beverly Hills. Boris played the monster in Frankenstein and in Bride of Frankenstein. He had a hobby of gardening that people enjoyed so much that when they died, they would write in their wills that their cremains would go to him so they could be buried in his rose garden. And they say that his rose garden, because of all the cremains of his friends, that there has been some spirit energy and some weird occurrences happening there as well. Here's one that most of you have probably heard about. It's called the Entity House, which is at 11547 Braddock Drive in Culver City. It was occupied by Doris Bither and her two sons, and she was abused violently by a poltergeist there. She was terrorized, and it was just awful for her. And if you've seen the 1970s movie Entity House, this is the house that it's based off of. The next one, the Hollywood Pacific Theater, which is at 6433 Hollywood Boulevard, is one that I really, really wish I could go into and see if I have any experiences, but unfortunately it's closed, so I'll never be able to do it. But it originally opened in 1928 as the Warner Brothers Theater. It was run by Sam Warner, and he supposedly cursed it when it was not opened in time for the premiere of the first talking film, The Jazz Singer. He supposedly cursed it. He did die the night before The Jazz Singer premiered in New York from a brain hemorrhage, and they say that his ghost would roam the lobby and the offices of the theater. And being a major film fanatic and just someone that is really in love with the film industry, I really wish I could run into Sam Warner's ghost. I think that would be pretty awesome, considering he's one of the main legends of film in Hollywood. Alright, we're going to talk about the Hollywood Wax Museum. The Hollywood Wax Museum is at 6767 Hollywood Boulevard. It is a tourist attraction that has different wax figurines of different celebrities, and just different wax figurines of just a bunch of different things. I personally think it's creepy without even knowing that there's ghosts there. They say the attraction or the exhibit that brings in the most negative energy is the Last Supper exhibit. They say that you can see a ghostly woman kneeling and praying in front of the Last Supper exhibit on the bench, which I think is kind of creepy and kind of peaceful in the same way. I mean, that's not very scary. I mean, she's praying, but what she's praying about in the afterlife, I guess, could be kind of confusing and kind of creepy, because I don't know, I could go down a really long tangent with that one. They also say you can see a teen's ghost that died way too young. His favorite exhibit was the horror exhibit, and his ghost is often seen there, which, I mean, that's probably my favorite part of the exhibit, or part of the museum as well, is the horror exhibit. So not a bad exhibit to have to spend the rest of your life in my opinion, I guess. Or eternity, because it's afterlife, so I don't know. This next one, the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, which is literally right down the street from me, is one that interests me the most. And there will be another video on this where I'm actually there and I'm actually seeing if I can find any spirits. So stay tuned for that video. But let me tell you a little bit about it. Hollywood Forever Cemetery was founded in 1899, and it's the final resting place of hundreds of Hollywood's legends. There is said to be a weeping woman by the lake that is supposedly the spirit of Virginia Rapay, who was part of the Fatty Arbuckle scandal. She mysteriously died after a party that she attended with him in attendance. In 1920, half of the cemetery land was sold to Paramount Studios, where they ended up building their studios and their backlot. And studio workers often report seeing spirits in period clothing walking around the studio and then disappearing into the cemetery wall, which I think would freak me out if I was security at night on the backlot and I just kept seeing that all the time. But I guess after a while you would get used to it, because you just know it's just spirits from a cemetery. I guess part of being next to a cemetery, I guess. But like I said, there will be another video on the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, because I have heard a lot of different stories about this place, and I want to see for myself if I can get any reaction from any of the spirits. The last one we're going to talk about is the Vista Hospital, which has been featured on almost every ghost hunting TV show there is. It was built in 1937 and closed in 1991 as a hospital. It was converted in 2015 to affordable housing for seniors. Personally, I would never put my parents or anyone I know in there, just because I've seen enough episodes to know what kind of spirits are in this place. Many past patients and staff can still be seen roaming the rooms and the hallways, and that's just not some place I'd want to live, or for anyone that I loved or cared about to live. So those are just a few of the lesser known haunted places in the Los Angeles area. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more. These were just ones that I came across that I found super interesting and definitely want to check out. So that's why I listed the addresses with them, so that if you were interested as well, you could stop by and see if you catch anything or feel anything. And if you do, don't forget to comment below or let me know on my Facebook or on my Instagram, which is under Haunt Gurus. I appreciate every single one of you listening and watching this. Don't forget to check out the coming episodes. There should be some really good ones that will definitely interest you coming up. A lot of Vegas ones and a lot more LA ones. And then down the road, Chicago, and we're going to branch out slowly. So if there's any places that you want me to cover, go ahead and let me know, and I will try my best to cover them. Thank you so very much, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you. Bye.